guys, it's Dr. Jamie Rutland. Welcome back to Medicine Deconstructed. I think sometimes you just have to sit and think about things, and I recently posted an Instagram post where I was discussing dyslexia, dysnomia, and ADHD, all diagnoses that I have. And I find the world and society interesting. You know, the world, in the United States, I guess, to be more specific, has been organized in one way. We are all supposed to learn one way. You get up in the morning, you take your shower, you eat your breakfast, you go to school, you sit in class all day long behind a desk, answer questions by raising your hand, and then you take a test that is written by your teacher or by test writers, across the nation. And I do think that way predominantly is the correct way to do it. I think that is probably the right way to do things. But I think that one of the things that I learned, at least growing up, was that I had an issue and I had to adapt. I think that one of the things that I had learned, and I told the story when I was 5 years old and testing for kindergarten, my mother, who is a successful attorney and lobbyist, had told the kindergarten teacher that I was ready for kindergarten despite my behavior of answering questions but looking at everything else, right? Being able to focus on this toy or this trash can or this transformer or the television, and still being able to answer questions like, what's 2 + 3? 5, how do you spell read? R-E-A-D. And I was just firing and answering the questions correctly and still able to focus on 50,000 other things. And Mrs. Palaki at the time had said to my mother, I don't think Jamie's ready for kindergarten. My mom said, he answered all your questions correctly, and he was able to focus on the 50,000 things that you have in this room. He's more than ready for kindergarten. And somehow I got into that Catholic school and I was able to get through it. And again, I wasn't a straight A student in school. I didn't get straight A's sitting in that desk, behind that desk for my entire life, as most people think doctors do. I had to work and recognize my limitations and recognize my abilities, even though nowadays they're considered disabilities, right? I think one of the most common diagnoses now in kids is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, or ADHD. Some people say ADD, and I was diagnosed with that. I didn't get diagnosed with it until I was 25 years old in medical school, and I noticed that I couldn't sit for more than 35 minutes to study for something. And I was sitting in this psychologist's office, and I noticed at the time that there were 10 6-year-old kids around. And was it embarrassing? I mean, maybe, kind of, not really. And took me through a bunch of tests. He said to me, look, you've got ADHD, you have dyslexia, and you have dysnomia. All things that I probably knew that I had. And I made a phone call to my mom, and she reminded me of that story. And she said, listen, you could do all of these things simultaneously, and you could also answer these questions correctly. You are smart enough to excel in not only the world as it's organized today, but in the world of chaos, in the world where you have to focus on several different aspects of care. In my mind, in the hospital, I have to focus on 30,000 different patients I'm taking care of, and being able to think individually about each patient and move on to the next patient and complete the task at hand. So even though you think about these diagnoses as disabilities, they're really not disabilities. They're actually abilities. Even dyslexia, being able to recognize things and being able to focus your mind to recognize words correctly and really focus on those things, right? Which is one of the solutions to being able to overcome that, is focus, right? You generate a focus, you develop a focus about yourself and about your life. And I think that as long as we concentrate on those things, and as long as we really, really know about ourselves and really get to know yourself, that's what allows you to excel. That's what allows you to take advantage of everything that is around you, is by allowing yourself to express things that are different about you. That's really hard to do, but that's one of the things that I learned growing up was having self-awareness and being able to recognize those traits that were different about myself. And I think that when you go through something as tough as medical school or law school or nursing school or business school, you start to learn these things about yourself. So just because you're not like Peter who sits to your right, or you're not like Jason who sits to your left, it doesn't matter so long as you know about you and you know about how you are, because that's how you take advantage of what's around you, is knowing yourself. So again, I just wanted to express that. I wanted to articulate that. And I wanted you guys to know, and even though you have ADHD, even though you have dyslexia or dysnomia, you still can take advantage of those abilities and be successful. Thanks for being here.
Cedric J.